Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Buddha. So first of all, I would like to pay my homage and respect to Bhante Sujan, who kindly accepted today's our Dharma talk, so that we can, we have an opportunity to listen to him. So the topic we are going to, Bhante is going to talk is on how to let go of attachment. And at the same time, I would like to welcome all of you as well in our Zoom, that who attended in our Zoom, as well as people who are watching and listening to us on YouTube and Facebook as well. So without overdue, that I'll just give a brief introduction about Bhante. If there's somebody who doesn't know him, as we are live on YouTube as well and Facebook. Bhante Sujan Kirti, he's from Nepal, and he's our advisor, Women in Nepalese Buddhist Society's advisor, and also head of Varapunya Buddhist Meditation Center in Aberdeen, Scotland. So one of the monk we have in our Nepalese community, as well as Buddhist community, who propagate the teachings of the Buddha, giving tireless his time and dedication. So we are very fortunate to have him on this Dharma talk. So the topic we are going to talk, or Bhante is going to address, is how to let go of attachment. So this topic we have had before also. In a few weeks ago, Dr. Kesar Lal Shrestha, a psychiatric, also presented his point of view from psychiatric point of view, that how attachment, from doctor point of view, like attachment of a child's attachment to mother and father, as well as parents' attachment to their children. In this, worldly condition, how we are attached to each other, and attached to our family, attached to our possession, attached to our job, in those terms, as well as I was, reflecting on Buddhist point of view as well, how attachment we look at. But meanwhile, we all felt that this topic is something within an hour is very hard to understand. So we are fortunate to have Bhante, so that who will be able to look at this point and address us in depth, as well as from Buddhist point of view, with understanding, answering questions and sharing point of views later on after the talk. So without taking too much time, I would like Bhante to start today's talk by administrating 5 precepts to all of us, and then address today's talk. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, say Namo Tassa 3 times.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapathang Samadhiyami.
Anatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Ajinnathana Veramani Sikkhapathang Samadhiyami.
Adinnādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Kame Sumichachara Veramani Sikkhapathang Samadhiyami.
Kāmesu miccāchārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada Veramani Sikkhapathang Samadhiyami.
Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surameraya Majjapama Dathana Veramani Sikkhapathang Samadhiyami.
Suramereya majjapamā daṭṭhāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Imani Pancha Sikkhapathani Silena Sukhating Yanti Silena Bhoga Sampatha Silena Nibhuting Yanti Tasama Silang Visodhaye.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so good afternoon and also good evening, everyone. So first of all, would like to thank you, Lumbini Nepalese Buddha Dharma Society UK, for inviting me to share on a very difficult subject. And as Amrit already mentioned, that I have been advisor of Lumbini Nepalese Buddha Dharma Society since I stepped into UK 2005. So, and it is a great pleasure to be here to share some of the understanding on this very difficult subject. So first of all, I have to confess that I am still attached to so many things. So I cannot ask you to let go everything. And then with that, although the topic says how to let go of attachment, I am already attached to so many things. So I don't know how can I convince you to let go of everything. Okay. And let me share a screen so that we'll go along with that. So this is a topic given. Can you see PowerPoint?
Yes, Bhante.
Okay, thank you. So this is a topic, how to let go of attachment. Okay? So I'd like to go on this first page that I say general knowledge. One cannot be free from attachment, so don't worry. Although the topic says let go of attachment, we cannot let go of all. And then, according to the Buddhist philosophy, it is possible to be free or let go of all attachment. But it's not a one-day job. Okay, so that's why do not worry. Okay? Do not worry that if you have some attachment to possessions, attachment to your views, attachment to your family, friends, oh, don't worry. But one very interesting concept is that less attachment is the better. Okay. The less attachment is better because the reality is that nothing is permanent. Everything is changing. Now look around us, anything that is permanent, even our attachment also impermanent. We used to be attached to our mother, our father, and we used to be attached to with our brothers and sisters. As we grow up, we become a teenage and we attach to our friends. And further on, we become young, we fall in love with loved ones. Then again, our attachment changed to our loved one, only one person. Yeah, I have this person is enough. I have this girlfriend, that's it, enough for me, everything. I have this boyfriend, that's it, enough. If I stay with this person, the whole world is beautiful and I don't need anything. And that again doesn't last long. That again doesn't last long. If you're staying together, then conflict begins and you feel like, why did I marry with this man? Why did I marry with this woman? So the attachment itself changes so much. And along this journey, we do not feel that we are attached to it. We do not feel that we are having something until we lost them. Then we realize that, oh, this is a real thing. We were really attached to these stuffs. Okay? So now the question comes that, are we attached to these things, the person or the possessions or the items, or items are possessing us? That's another question to ask. Who is possessing us? Who is attached to what? Right? Who is clinging or grasping onto that? So this is just an overview of what attachment is and what we need to understand before we going into detail. And I will be explaining from what I have understood. And again, this is not the complete understanding. Okay. Now, this is what is attachment then? So in Buddhism, attachment is called upadana. Right? Upadana, again, if you listen previous talks that Amrit mentioned, Amrit was talking about it in the later session. So upadana is the attachment or clinging to various meanings and values. And the cause of this attachment is basically misunderstanding of the things and the values. And that is ignorance. And here, ignorance is not knowing the feelings properly and not understanding feelings properly, that creates the tanha. And when it creates tanha, the result of that attachment brings a suffering. Now here, I put this picture, burning fire. If we are too attached to it, or if we are too attached to one another, then that creates a problem. You can't set. So here, if you are setting a fire, you can't put these woods so attached together that there is no space. If you put together without having any space, fire will not lit. You cannot burn. You cannot set the fire. So in order to make a fire, you have to have some space. So you have an attachment, but in the right understanding. And with that, the fire will go. Same with our life too. If we are too attached to one another, there is no space in between, then that creates the trouble. And I have heard so many stories that once you're married, and then you have to stay with the parents, your father and a mother, and because of having this attachment, like parents are always attached to children and they want to keep them close by. But after marriage, children, they don't want to stay close because of worries of some other troubles. So they want to go away, far away from their parents. Like yesterday, I heard one story. One family, she married with the English man and came to stay in Scotland. And they were staying next, the same street, but two houses apart. Now she was saying that every time when she come out from their house, her mother-in-law and her father-in-law sees that she's coming out and asking, "Oh, where are you going? How are you?" So the parents are always asking, "How are you? Have you eaten? Where are you going?" Sort of this is a general friendly conversation, or sometimes it's just a caring conversation. But that annoyed this lady, and then eventually, in order to have this harmonious relationship with the parents, they decided to move apart, two different places. And with that, what happened? The relationship again build up rather than friction just about to start. So the fire simile is here to understand that attachment is good, but we have to put some space. Okay, Bante, can you put your slides in a presentation mode? All right, okay. Sorry, I just saw a question. Okay, I will put it. Now better?
Yes, Bante. Some people prefer. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So that is the attachment and knowing that how much you can be attached to things, and that brings the harmony and that brings the peace. Okay. And the last here, obviously, we have to know the limitation of it, and the way to be free from this attachment is basically do not attach to anything that comes through the senses. The eye sees, ear hears the sounds, and nose and tongue and a body. And that is the source of the Vedana, the feelings. And not knowing this feeling obviously generates the craving. And then from that craving, we attach to it because of not knowing it. And that's how the attachment generates. And here, and this is again from Buddha's instruction. We can see that the suffering is caused by the attachment, and this is from a Sutta Nipata, Doyata Vinupasan, saying that whatever suffering that we have, okay, so this is exactly what is the translation. Whatever suffering arises, all is caused by attachment. With the complete ending of it, there is no arising of a suffering. And here we have to know this duality of suffering and a non-suffering is entirely onto it. And a person who knows it, then they will not be attached to it. And this, observing this, we will be free from it. Okay? And further on, in same Sutta Nipata and the other Anguttara Nikaya, and also in Digha Nikaya, Sutta is saying that here arises the craving, and depending on craving, and the craving arises because we will look for it. And because of looking, we gain it and we decide, and with that, the desirous passion arises. And with that desiring a passion, we will be grasping on it. And the more strongly we grasp on that, we have a tendency to keep it safe, and we become miserable or worried about that somebody will destroy or take it, or right, or make it different. And that's how the rest of all the troubles creates. And it's all coming from the grasps or the attachment. And here this is from Paticca Samuppada, saying that Vedana Paccaya Tanha and Tanha Paccaya Upadana. So Vedana is a feeling, is a cause of a craving. And then a craving is a cause of attachment. So the feeling normally, it happens with us. And that's normally a pleasant and unpleasant sensation. When we crave to it, then it generates the rest of the flow and how we crave to it. So this craving again, because of identity view that I have, I am, this is me, and this is mine. And this is one of the very big topics to understand. As long as we have got the self, the existence of a self, these feelings and a craving will non-stop continue to have it. And then with that, there will be a continuous attachment developed. And it's entirely up to us that how much we want to put a space in between so that the fire will continue. So we attach to our success in our life, the house, the wealth and education and close peoples. And these all, if you put a lot closer attachment to these things, that creates the trouble in our life. So we have to know the safe distance or safe space in between these attachment. Okay? And this is again erections. This is a psychological perspectives that why do we have to have these attachments, and even the Maslow's hierarchy of the needs. Yeah? So basic needs that we want to have in our life is physical need, as always looking for it, and then financial security and also relationship. Now, a person who is only thinking on the basic needs, their attachment will be on the wealth and a relationship. They become a more selfish, they become a more self-centered rather than open-minded and self-actualization and even to liberation or self-transformation. Okay? And when we look at the Erickson's social development theory, it also suggests that how we create our attachment to our family and to our social conditions, which again starts from very young age. We will develop trust and mistrust with our parents. And so that is gradually, as we develop our age, we also extend our attachment to one to another. And this complexity increases year by year, and unknowingly we will be so attached to it, and it's become a long-term memory in us. Subconsciously, we will be attached to these old conditions that we have created throughout the time. Now it's up to us, self-realization, that how much I am attached to things. And the moment when we fulfill and understand ourselves purely and rightly, then we will be able to fulfill our needs, understanding the nature and understanding the world and understanding how the system works, and understanding that everything is impermanent, and ability to let it be. So let it be is the part of a self-transformation beyond the cycle of this social conditions. So with this, now the two types of attachment. The first one is want things to be, and the second one is want things not to be. That's all is the root of all the attachment we have. So when I don't have to explain much, I think, with these two sentences. Normally we attach to things, so we don't want it to change. And then there's things that we want not to be like that. And the question comes is it about the object, or it is about the value that we put it in? I remember there was a lady. She traveled from Thailand after the Second World War. Now she is, I think, 90s. And her husband died. And she kept his clothes, every clothes intact, and always attached to it. No one can touch it. And that is how much value she had on this clothes. Now another story. One single mom, she was working in the kitchen. Her only son went out from the house and collected one golden leaf. So in autumn time, you will obviously find the golden leaf, right? So he found this golden leaf and brought it to his mom and said, "Mom, I found it. I found the golden leaf. I want to give it for you." So he offered it to her. And she said, "Oh, wow, this is so beautiful. I will keep it on this fridge." So she stacked it on the fridge. And she admired it so much. And every time when she goes to the kitchen, then she's looking at this leaf, saying, "Oh, this is given by my son." Given by my son. And it went by, now this is 15 years now. She still has got that leaf. And she still remembers, this leaf was given by my son on that particular day when I was depressed because of the problem that his father was giving to me. So that much attached to. So that's why it is not the object, it is not the person, it is not the subject, but it is the value that we put it in. And obviously the appearance, the reality of that object is impermanent, that change. But because of the attachment that we have developed and the attachment that we have added in, subjectivity of it causes a trouble. Now, I put here as a raft as an example. And Buddha used this raft as an example too. It is just to cross the river from one world to the another. So everything that we have, now we can just imagine ourselves, we're just born. We bring nothing. We brought nothing. And how many things that we have created throughout this time? Yeah, clothes, family, house, the properties and relationships and all. These are just a raft to make you feel comfortable. These are just a raft to feel you, make you feel that the journey crossing the river is comfortable and feel safe. But once you have crossed, you have to leave it behind. You can't take it on. It's impossible. Yeah. So raft has done its job. We have to let it be. Okay. Now, when we look at the real teachings of the attachment, and this comes very deep and hard one, which I also don't know. I can't explain properly. Okay. But from the philosophical view, there are 4 different kinds of attachments. One, kamupadana, attachment to sensual pleasures. Now, this is again is talking about eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body attached to this pleasure. And this is when we look at the Maslow's hierarchy of a need theory, it comes into very lower part. It's just a base. It is just a basic need. And here again, when we look at the worldly terms, this is very important things to the lay families, lay people, householders. It's very important. And it is again, it is not what you have. It is not what you have accumulated on the journey. It is how much value you put it in. The value that you add in makes it difficult to leave it. Now, there are monks too. And during the time of the Buddha, there was one monk. He got a beautiful new robe. He was attached to that robe, but sadly, he died before he used it. Now, because of that attachment, he was born as a lice in that robe. And same with you all. Think about it. If you're attached to your money, if you're attached to your house, possible that maybe you will born as a protector of the house. Okay, so it's not what you have. It is a value that you added in. Okay, and the consequences of it is you're holding on to it. The more you hold on to it, it creates more trouble. Okay, it creates more trouble. And the second, third, and the fourth are much easier to understand. Attachment to the views, dittupadana, that this is what I know is the truth, what I think is the right. Rest of you are wrong. So that sort of a view we normally hold. Yeah? And there is also saying that I am a senior, so I know better than you, so you better respect me. So that is a dittupadana too. Okay, so and here I always use this simile to address our Buddhist, saying that we all Buddhists always say that the Buddhism is the right and correct. Rest view are wrong. Then the moment when we hold that view, you are wrong. Okay, so this is the dittupadana. Silupadana is again, it's about attachment to the rites and rituals, or my practice is better, yours is wrong. What I practice is pure. What you practice is not pure. What rituals that I am doing leads to the liberation, your one is not. That sort of a view you're holding. Now, The moment when you have an attachment to those, then it creates another trouble. You will be separated, segregated, you become alone. No one wants to talk to you because you're too holy. Okay, so that's the third one, silupadana. Attavadupadana is, again, this is the very difficult one. That's existence of me, and I am important. And this is me and a mine. I making, my making concept is here. So these are the four different types of attachment that the Buddha mentioned in a couple of places in the Tipitaka. And a moment when we fully understood it, even just for the basic term, even just for a little bit of it, then you will be able to comprehend that, oh, these are not good to have an attachment on it. But you still have to have some sort of attachment. It's like setting a fire. You have to have a fire to set the fire. Right? So that's why attachment itself is not the trouble. The opposite of attachment is called a detachment, the viraga, the nirodha, and that is basically to overcome the 10 different defilements. And there are 5 ways of overcoming that defilements, and that is known as let go, the 5 ways of a cessation or a nirodha. And that's by suppressing, substituting, destructing, tranquilizing, and getting freed. And this, one can comprehend it the moment when you start to meditate. You will understand that how these 5 letting go starts, and which again we can discuss slowly later on, or maybe next time. I don't want to go into this scriptural one, but I want to go very simple one so that we can learn how to let go. So this is the very easy one to understand. This comes from the Nirodha Satya in the even the Four Noble Truths, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. We have to learn to let go by giving, relinquishing, and freedom from that, and a non-attachment or non-reactive. Basically here, we can enjoy whatever we have, whether it is about the items or wealth or a property or possessions, or any relationship that we have with our parents, friends, or relatives, or whoever. We can enjoy their company. We can enjoy their company and having a good relationship with them. In the meanwhile, thinking of the gap in order to create this fire. So understanding that gap and knowing the value of their existence and knowing the value that they have been friends and relatives and close to us and so dear to us throughout the time. In the meanwhile, able to let go. Because the moment when we let them go free from their own way of doing, own way of living, then that brings more happiness. We are happy, they are happy. Yeah? It's like there is a story about one man raped a girl in one village. And then this girl's parents invited this man and said that you have 2 choices. 1, marry this girl. 2, go to prison. So he chose to marry, escaping from going to the prison. After 20 years later, he told his wife, saying that the first day I was asked that which one you want to choose, marrying this girl or going to the prison. I should have chosen to prison so that I will be freed by now. Okay.
That's a good one.
So it is the fact of learning to let go. Okay. Yeah, and here, this is my interpretation of how to let go. Okay. Now, obviously, in Buddhism, Buddhist practice is tisika, or three trainings. We have to learn to give, and then practice of sila and bhavana. Particularly the dana, I always think that, Buddha allowed to let go material things to start off. And this is again comes in the psychology as well, that in order to change inside, we have to change outside. The outside behavior changes gradually affect to the inside perceptions and the thoughts. And a dana is outside practice, outside behavior that you have to learn. And gradually, as you give one after another, you become accustomed with it and you see the values of it. And with that, you will be able to let go of your emotions. You're able to let go or giving up your attachment to any negative thoughts or any other bad emotions that you are holding on and causing miserable. So you're able to let go of it. And once you have let go of those emotional self-centered views and emotions that you're holding onto it, you will self-actualizing that, okay, I have understood this life, and now I'm going to share and help the community, help the family, and help the community. And this is the Attacharya. So you're expanding your service to the entire the world. And this is again, we cannot see any other example better than the Buddha that he had done. So he had accumulated this so much paramitas that in his last birth as this Gautama Buddha, he spend or give her whole life for the service, Attacharya. And this is how, and the last one is a Sakaya Ditti, and that is the first ladder to be a real Buddhist. We are just training to be a Buddhist. We are not Buddhist yet. The moment when we able to understand ourselves properly and understand this I-making and a my-making ability to let go of a holding of the self, then that is the start of the Sotapanna. So you are stepping on the Buddhist ladder. So you become a real Buddhist. You have a strong faith in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and you will not be violating all these 5 precepts at all. And this is, I just want to talk touch this one. One of the hard one is to grieve. Now, you may have heard me saying in the past that I was invited to attend so many funerals. And before my parents died, I never felt at all, frankly saying. They were crying, I was laughing. Why they have to cry? I didn't feel any grief. I didn't feel any at all. And then after my parents died, then I realized that how terrible this is and how difficult to overcome this grief and bereavement and how much we feel attached to it. And obviously, this will be different to one person to another. And I feel very lucky myself that I have been practicing meditation and studying the teachings and pondering on it so long. When my parents died, I was able to come into the terms for some in a degree, but I would not say completely. And I would not say that I wasn't crying. There is a saying that you are a Buddhist monk, how you cry. This is totally different story. I am a Buddhist monk doesn't mean I am enlightened. That's why at the beginning I mentioned I still have an attachment. Yeah. So I cried. So crying is okay. Don't worry. Cry it out. This is a terrible shock that we normally have to face it. It's okay. And how we go overcome this? Now, this is the trick here. I think of the 3 things. Let go. The monkey holding a banana in a pot. Now, I don't need to explain, I think, this one. Yeah? The holding it, in order to free yourself, you have to let go of the banana, then you will be free. Otherwise, you can't take your hand out from that attachment, the holding onto the views or these things. And he is my brother, she is my sister, my father, she is my. The harder you hold, you cannot pull yourself out from the situation. So you have to let go. And in order to let go, you have to realize that you're going through it. It's like going to the toilet. Why do you go to toilet? Because you realize that you need the waste thing in your body making a trouble, making you unsettled. So you need to go to toilet. That's why I call toilet is heaven on earth. As soon as you sit on the toilet, you release it. That is the heaven on earth. You cannot find such happiness anywhere else on this earth. So now, in order to let go, you have to know that you are going. Now, this is the third one that I normally give nowadays and reflect on it, particularly in the West, because in Asia, we have different ceremonies after someone's passed away. And in those ceremonies and rites and rituals help family to overcome grief and bereavements. Because during that time, they will be coming to your house. They will be coming to help to you. Like in Nepal, we have how many days? After someone dies, we have a 3-day visiting, 7-day ceremony, 12-day ceremony, 45 days ceremony, 3 months ceremony, 6 months ceremony, and then a 1-year ceremony and 2-year ceremony. So you're going through this process of overcoming bereavement. And by the time of 3 months, or maybe most of the time, I noticed that 45 days later, you already overcome because you have this community helping. Relatives are helping, coming to your house, helping out. And with this preparation of this feast, so-called, it's like a feast. You have to prepare so much. And then with that preparation, you realize that death is inevitable. It will be there and you will be able to overcome and let go. So this is how you can overcome. The community is helping to overcome this bereavement, and which is lacking in the West. Even we Nepalese living here in the West, when someone dies, we barely have such ceremonies or gatherings, and hardly we could have yearly. So this is obviously another trouble causing that difficult to overcome this bereavement. Okay, now, but obviously, overcome this takes time. Do not think that, okay, I am grown up, I am a monk. Within a few days, I should be okay with it. It won't happen like that. It takes time because we have conditioned from day one we were born. Think about the Skinner's theory of the social evolution and development, and this Maslow's theory. We have developed so much, and within one day, we want to be free from that attachment is impossible. We have conditioned so long. And so it takes time. And that, again, needs to replace by something else. And only then we will be able to overcome. The summary, everything is anicca. So attachment is there. All what we need is to accept and observe that I have it. Importantly, know yourself and find the happiness within rather than relying on somebody, something else. And thinking that our life is impermanent, and one day we have to go through the same door. So be happy, trying to find the spiritual security in our life. And that's by doing the religious practices and importantly, practicing a loving kindness to oneself and then to others. And here, the last one is not holding on to myself, that I am a permanent entity, will not change at all. This is me and this is mine. So attachment is good, but enjoy with a non-attachment. And less attachment you have, the better relationship you will have with your family, with your relationship, with your wealth, with your knowledge, with your all these status. And eventually, the last but not least and very important is ability to overcome this personality view. And I think I will end here with this introduction to the attachment. And I hope that letting go of this, you get the idea how one can let go of these problems. So this is a question answer time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bhante. So thank you, Bhante, for that wonderful presentation. As Bhante started, that it's not easy to get or let attachment go or grasp what is attachment within an hour talk. But at least this is something at least to understand. And then Bhante also showed us different types of by breaking down and how we can let it go. So as Bhante suggested, there is a question time. There will be, and also you can put your point of views. So at the bottom there's a reaction that where you can raise your hand, so that then I will let go one by one. So while you are thinking to raise hand or not, it has, please go at the bottom reaction and put hand. Okay, so Bhante was saying that how we can let things go. We have Chuda Karki. Raise your hand. Just hold a second. I will unmute. So you can unmute and put your point of view. Karkiju?
Yeah, thank you very much for your wonderful talk. This is the first time I have listened to a talk on detachment. I am, by the way, a psychiatrist by profession. I have retired. But just a couple of points that you have made, I'll start with the last one, the internalization. And it is very difficult to sort of say goodbye to a figure whom you have lost. And one of the advice that we give, obviously, is that you need to internalize all the good things you have about that person and be able to say goodbye. And that is something people have difficulties in doing. They hold on to their possession and are not able to let go. I wonder if you would be able to make a comment on that. That's number one. Second thing I just wanted to talk about is the worldly, the kampa padana you talked about, worldly sensory pleasures. And I think we get stuck with people who are so attached to, say, alcohol, drugs, and people who are anorexic. They want to maintain a certain weight, and they really have a lot of difficulties. I don't know if you've got any comments on that. And lastly, the one thing is that my concept of the self-actualization, what I have seen and observed is that people, after they meet their respective needs and they go higher up, they go and do it just to gain some sort of cheap popularity, going into politics and giving something, but not within. So these are just a few of my observation and point, and I really thoroughly enjoyed your talks. And I'll I've made some notes of your wonderful talk. Thank you very much indeed.
Yes, so Amrit, shall I?
Yes, please.
So thank you very much for your observation and internalizing the concept as someone someone who we loved one passed away, we have to internalize and will be free from that. But it is not an easy job.
Yeah.
It's not an easy job. And Buddha also mentioned in the concept of the suffering, the dukkha, saying, piyehi vipayoho dukkho. That means separation from loved one is suffering. And this needs to be understood. That death is inevitable. And then with that understanding, we can internalize, but it will take time. And I can tell you my own story. When my mother died, first my father died. When my father died, it wasn't that hard. I was able to deal with that without any trouble. Okay, because I still had my mother. Okay, although my mother, went a very difficult time after my father's death. She even went coma for many times. So as a result, I had to stay over in Nepal and looking after her for 3 months, which again, my initial plan was only 2 weeks travel that extended for 3 months, and I looked after her, stayed with her. But the moment when my mother died, it wasn't easy. Suddenly, I felt like I am become an orphan at the age of almost 40. And despite I never talked to them while they were alive, and speaking maybe once a month or a couple of months at once time, and yet the psychological attachment to my parents were there, and always feeling comfort that that is still there. So I didn't have any sense of need it or think about that attachment. But the moment when they left, I felt it. And frankly saying, I had to use counseling service. Okay.
I can see that.
Counseling service at that time because I was doing my master's as well at that time. So, and then during that time, I even myself, within myself had a conflict saying, I am a Buddhist monk. I've been practicing meditation. Why should I have to go to the counseling? I will be okay. Okay. So that thought kept me stopping going to see, and I was struggling. And then with that, I felt, okay, this is too much. Now here I said, you have to realize that this is making a trouble. Realization. So dukkha needs to be realized. Parinyaya needs to be realized. So the moment when I realized, it's like I need to go to toilet now. Now all the doors are open. So I went to the counseling service and then spoke with a counselor. And after one session, I feel better. So I attended only one session. And after attended, I realized that how to deal with it. And then I dealt with that. Okay? So that is the comment on that, what you have mentioned about the internalizing. Okay? In terms of hierarchy needs of a Maslow's theory that you mentioned, that people do good things in order to get a name and a fame. Okay, and that's again, according to Maslow's theory, is not high needs. Okay, they haven't fulfilled their their own needs yet. As a result of that, they're still in a low esteem, and they are simply faking themselves, and they haven't understood properly. So, in order to realize this self-fulfillment or self-actualization, you have to fulfill all the basic needs, and you have fully understood that I am okay, I am satisfied. So my life is coming to the end, or I have done full job for myself. Now I need to give back to the society. So that's why I've mentioned that There will be no any other examples better than the Buddha himself, that how much he had given the service to the human world for 2000 years and still continue. Yeah, and that is the real self-actualization. This is not just a self-actualization. Being a Buddha or being enlightened is basically self-transformation. You're transforming yourself beyond the cycle. So that's why if you look at the Paticcasamuppada chart, particularly in a Tibetan tradition, writing the Paticcasamuppada, you will see the Buddha outside of the will, pointing at the will.
Yeah.
So that is the transformation. I brought this Maslow's theory simply to let you understand that how much we attach to basic needs, and also from the Ericsson's perspective, we attach, or we are conditioned to be attached to our related relationships from very early age. And that develops, and that attachment simply become saved into our long-term memory, and we become so conditioned with it. And by the time when we left, or when we feel they are gone, then that creates massive problem in us. And this we have to know, so realize it, and then ability to let go. That all begins from knowing that I am going through it, and the letting go will start. Because in the Buddhist perspective, letting go is not what you do to let go. Letting go starts the moment when you know that you are going through it. Okay?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bhante. Yes, that as Bhante said, that we have to realize, that's what there is a dukkha, and there is a that to know that there is a dukkha is then only help us to find the solution or the way out. So as Bhante pointed out, and with the discussion, we can see that it's not the goods, or it's not the value, it's not the money, or how big family or how small family we have, how much money or how big house or how small house we have. It's not that which counts, but how much value, that is mentally and psychologically we put into it. I think that is the main thing here. So, as we can see from the what you call Buddha's teaching as well, where in Dhamma Chakkapavattana Sutta, that Buddha talks about, Kama Sukhalikanu Yoga, that, sensual, by fulfilling your sensual pleasure and needs, one can come to realization, as well as then Attakilamatanu Yoga, by torturing and hurting yourself, so Buddha also practiced during 6 years, like a Nigantas, that he, ate once a day, or, he didn't eat for days and days, that torturing his body, that he thought he can realize. But that's not how to overcome the desire. And that's where, I think even now, you can see Nigantanathas, that if you go to India, that you can see, even Nepal, you can see, if you go to Pashupati, that there are these saints called, naked saints, Nigantas, that they live totally naked, whole body applying ashes, and that, torturing, standing in one leg, or, not cutting their hairs. They think that will help to overcome desire, or, wanting, but that's not the way. It's the mind, that how we are able to let it go and overcome. So it's the understanding that it's not easy. Okay, so any questions? I can't see any hands raising. So it looks like, okay, Dr. Dharmasakiju, please unmute and put your question or point, please. Thank you. Dr. Joe?
Yeah, Bhante, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Bhante. As Chuda said, it was an excellent presentation. Both Pramila and I like to thank you from bottom of our heart. It was really interesting and very easy to understand. As you said, Bhante, attachment is, especially with the attachment of self, is so difficult. As I discussed with you a few weeks ago regarding bereavement. Now, what I wanted to ask was, myself and Suchita, we were attending teaching by Mingu Rinpoche on Pragya Parvita Heart Sutra. I'm sure Bhante is quite familiar with it. They were talking about emptiness. Everything is emptiness. I could not understand most of it. I don't know whether Suchita understood or not. I was just wondering, if you meditate on emptiness, if you can fully understand emptiness, will it help? Although it is a Mahayana tradition, Bhante, if you have some views, I shall be grateful for your comment.
Okay. So if we practice on emptiness, will it help?
Yeah. Because in that sense, everything is empty. Form is empty, feeling is empty, perception is empty, mental
You have
formation is
to,
empty, everything is empty. So if you can realize emptiness, then you reach nirvana, it says. But I don't know how to do it.
there is a nibbana itself is empty too.
Yeah, that's what it says.
So you have to understand that what are you looking for? When you say that if I practice emptiness, will it make me free, better? So if that case, then you will be substituting something to other.
Yeah, I know.
And that won't help. That won't help. It
Yeah.
is just a substitution to one to another.
Mm.
And that is also impermanent. When you're substituting to something to another, and you realize, oh, it is not helping. There's always reverse coming back. Whenever you dislike, whenever doesn't make sense, whenever you feel a feeling of a depression or feeling of a grief, a bereavement, oh, I've been practicing this emptiness, why I can't comprehend it. So you will be thinking of this emptiness is not working because the initial intention was wrong. You are substituting to overcome something else. Okay. So practice of emptiness, first, we have to understand the real meaning of emptiness. Only then is possible to comprehend it. And emptiness, and here in a basic term to understand emptiness is when you are speaking in English, there is no Nepalese. So it's empty of Nepalese.
Yeah.
So when you are sitting on a chair, nobody can sit on your chair. So empty of other people.
Yeah.
And when you left, then again, empty of yourself from that chair. So with this, you can see that nothing is permanent. Everything is changing, and everything which is changing, you cannot see it as entity that exists. So everything is empty.
Oh, yeah. It's a very difficult concept, Bhante. It's very difficult concept.
The moment when you realize, then you will not be asking that question.
It will be very easy, isn't it? Once you understand.
I don't know how much Suchita understood it. I found one.
Give you Suchitra.
Form is also emptiness. Nirvana is also emptiness. Dharma is also emptiness. Buddha is emptiness. So it is kind of quite confusing. And at the end, he gave a good answer, did he?
Yeah, he did.
he vanished himself from the camera with some trick, and where something like that. And
Riddhi Pratyaya, yeah.
when he was saying, it looks like I understood. Now, when I'm thinking about it, I don't think I understood it. While he was speaking, I thought I understood.
Yeah, so that's why this concept, the more we try to conceptualize, we become miserable. It needs to realize, then you understand. Like in my own understanding, my own practice, every time when I'm using even the word I am, my, or my thing, my object, or I have done this, I have done that, I always check my inner self, why I am saying this, how I am saying this. Is it to dominate others? Is it to express myself as better than somebody? Or is it that I am more knowledgeable than others? Or is it that I want them to understand that how important it is, like that? So I always check. Yeah, always check that. So you're constantly checking yourself. Every action that you do, every word that you say, then you realize that how empty it is. And that's how you will understand yourself.
Bhante, can I ask just one more question, quick one?
Yeah.
Now I've been practicing meditation now for almost 25 years. And nowadays I started asking why I am meditating and I'm doing the right thing. Sometimes I think I get the answer. Sometimes I feel I don't get the answer.
That's
that
fine.
Right approach, Bhante? I ask nowadays,
Yeah.
instead of just blindly following that, I'm doing this meditation and not answering.
Yeah.
Every time I meditate now, I start questions. Am I on the right path or am I doing the wrong thing?
You're doing the right thing.
Is it? Thank you, Bhante. That's very helpful.
In a conventional level, we are doing. Yeah. In a conventional level, we are doing to get something. In an ultimate sense, there is no one who is meditating. There is nothing that is meditating.
That's empty.
So the moment when you are I am meditating, you are already projecting yourself in a state of existence. That is me and this is mine. But if you're just there, that's why the Vipassana meditation is about. You are there to know the phenomena as it arises. So there is nothing to attach to, nothing to hold on to, and nothing to think about it. Whatever is there comes, you realize, let it be.
Thank
so
you,
that is the ultimate path, is nothing. So there is no one who is meditating, nothing to meditate on. All is just it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, just be mindful. Yeah, Vipassana, see things as they are. Yes, any question, any point of view? Okay. Looks like it's a quite. Although is, as Suchita said, that while we were listening, it looks like we understood, and now I think everybody's in a deep thought that what actually happened and what Bhante said. So it's good to reflect on, to reflect upon, and what is this attachment Bhante was talking, and and then came emptiness. Is there such a person called me or I? And it's a reflection, is that's what one of the meditation is, also to reflect upon what we are saying, what we are doing, what we are eating, what we are wearing all the time, all to be aware, mindful all the time. So as there are no hands raised, looks like everybody's happy. So maybe
can I add one more
yes,
thing?
Yes, Bhante.
I just remember that I missed one thing, that the practice in a religious support practice, there is a picture you may have seen, Punyana Modana.
Yes.
And this punyanumodana practice is very, very important part of the practice to overcome the attachment or the bereavement. Actually, the word punyanumodana is misused in a Buddhist contexts because punyanumodana normally now understood as transferring a merit to someone who passed away. Actually, it is not. Punyanumodana means we rejoice on every good action that we have performed. That is a punyanumodana. Okay, and after that, we intentionally transfer or think of someone who we want them to receive it. And then that's how we call pattidanamaya. Yeah, so we are giving it to them. Giving it to them. And this is again a question whether they will accept it or not. It is again entirely up to their signal, whether they can send a right signal to us, or whether are we sending a right signal to them, or are they in a right position or not. So if they are in a right position and a good signal tunes in, then they will receive it. So within the 31 planes of existence, there is only one existence that is able to receive it, and which is again onshore. Okay, but that doesn't mean you are not doing it. Practice of this so-called punyanumodana is more important for you than the person who passed away. So this is how you overcome your bereavement. I even told so many families that if you are finding it really difficult to overcome from this bereavement, have one ball on your living room. So in your living room, very close to you, every day, whenever you think in his name or her name, put 1 penny saying, I give it to you. So this is a little giving, you're connecting, and as well as you're overcoming from it. Okay? So this is also one part of a ritual in Buddhism that's been practiced so that we can still have an attachment, but we are doing our part to make them happy. It's like a set the fire, continue going on. Okay? So that's the last part of a religious support of a punyanumodana that in Buddhism we normally practice to overcome that. And that's again basically saying let go of it too. Okay? Letting go. So I end here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you for that note. So as I said, I think there's no more questions. So it's time to conclude today's session. So first of all, on behalf of Lumini Nepalese Buddha Society, that I would like to, and also friends in Zoom who joined us, and also who are watching over YouTube and Facebook, I would like to express our gratitude and respect to Bhante Susan Kirti for giving his time and presenting this wonderful, enlightening talk on attachment, how to let it go. So, and I'm sure that this will help us to reflect and today and a few more days, maybe due to busy life, we might forget it, but at least once a while we can think about it, and as it is recorded on YouTube, that people can watch over it, if that to digest it better, so that it helps to digest and understand the teachings of the Buddha, that what is this attachment. And as a Buddhist, and actually in Bhante's word that we are trying to be Buddhist, if I say so, that or the follower of the Buddha, that hopefully that one day that we can grasp this teachings of the Buddha, so that we can overcome suffering, pain, lamentation, grief, and all these things due to various reasons, by holding me, my, and myself. So that once again, thank you, Bhante, for your kindness and your compassion shown to us and give this talk. And at the same time, thank you for all attenders that joined us to today's session. And as Bhante said, this Punyanamodana is to rejoice. The more we rejoice, the more merit or more merry we are. So the more and more we think, the more and more we rejoice. So that is, Punyanamodana, that as Bhante said. We might give a little thing, or we might do little help to somebody, or we might teach a few things to others. But by reflecting on that again and again, we can rejoice more and more and multiply. So actually, so the Punyanamodana is a very good thing. So at this time that may today's, by attending today's session, that we thought about noble teaching, we reflected on it, we discussed on it, so which is help us to overcome pain and suffering and bring a joy and happiness in our life. So may we all be happy physically, mentally, and overcome all the diseases and suffering and be able to enjoy our life. By that also may all our friends, relatives be happy and well. And at the same time, we also think our departed relatives, that whoever passed away, let's transfer our merits, good thoughts of goodwill to them for their well-being and happiness wherever they are. And with these kind thoughts, we pass merits to all our departed relatives. And once again, may all of us be happy and joyful. And I wish may we all have a good day. Thank you very much. Again, thank you. Bye-bye. So I'm going to end today's session, and then after that, we can carry on discussion. Thank you.